I'm joined by another Gary. Hello, Gary.
Hello, Gary.
It's good to meet you. We bumped into each other at this charger this morning.
Yes, we did.
And I said, I've heard your podcast.
Well, yes, you're one of the few.
So do you want to explain to my watchers what your podcast is?
I run the EV Musings podcast, available on Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Spotify in this car?
Spotify in this car, indeed.
Yeah.
And basically, I set it up with a colleague of mine, Simon, who is the EV side. He's got his own YouTube channel. And what we wanted to do was to sort of focus on one specific aspect of...
I'm just going to move this camera because for some reason you're out of view, which wouldn't be very good, would it? Let's put you in view.
It's a perfect voice for radio, don't we?
Yeah, there you go. As you can tell, you're a podcaster, you don't need to be on camera. So you set it up.
I set it up, and the idea behind EV Musings is it's for people who are potentially new to owning EVs or considering owning EVs.
Which is quite a few of my audience, yeah.
Hopefully, yes. And we would each week concentrate on one specific aspect of the EV experience. So our first one was the myths and legends around EVs, because I don't know about you, but whenever you get onto social media and you get somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, they'll start to go on about, you can't drive them in the rain and the batteries last for 3 years.
Definitely can't charge them in the rain.
Oh, you can't, the whole lot. So we did a whole 50-minute episode where we took every single one of those myths and we basically dispelled them. Yes.
Yeah, I did a similar thing. We went charging at the Engini charger in Peterborough when it was in the thunderstorm, and I was actually paddling in 3 inches of water, and it was still charging fine. So
brilliant. So yeah, we've covered charging. We've covered EVs in the media.
Yeah.
Our good friends at Top Gear, a prime example of that.
Yes, that show went out this last weekend. If anybody was, because I probably won't get this edited for a few weeks, so it's probably going to be a few weekends ago for people. But that Top Gear episode where they were covering EVs, I mean, some of that was fair enough, but some of it was definitely not.
I mean, don't misunderstand me. It was a very, very funny, very amusing episode.
Yeah,
but it was not. Let's put it this way: I don't think. Of the 3 of them, I don't think any of them are actually qualified journalists. One of them's a cricketer, one of them's a comedian, so that's going to tell you where the story's actually pitched, isn't it? But yeah, the whole idea of a Leaf with whatever many miles on it will only do 35 miles. That one did, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that doesn't mean they're all going to do that.
And very few of them are in that situation.
Indeed.
I mean, obviously, early Leafs, there wasn't the temperature management.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have heavily fast charged an early Leaf, yes, maybe you do get some issues. But certainly not most cars I know. I was talking to someone the other day who's got a 5-year-old Leaf, and he says it's only declined by 2% from what he originally had on it. So it's...
Well, my go-to in this is always C&C taxis down in Cornwall.
Yes.
They've got 140,000 miles on theirs. They're down, okay, they might be down to 85% at that point, but they've just shipped them off and they're now doing V2G.
Yeah, for vehicle to grid stuff.
Vehicle to grid testing, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got, so that's another one of these myths that, when the car wears out, the batteries are going to be polluting, not going to be able to recycle them and do anything.
Yeah.
And there's loads of, I mean, we were discussing this at Fully Charged Live. If you that 30-mile range Leaf, buy it and just strip the battery out and use it in the home.
Well, yes.
Way cheaper than a Tesla Powerwall.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think now there are companies that are doing replacements for the Leaf batteries, which are, I mean, it's not cheap, but we're talking 2,500 rather than the 6 or 8 or 10,000 that people start to think about.
And it's like the MV200 in the van. You can actually get a bigger battery for that than you could originally.
All good stuff.
Yeah, it's really good. So myths like that, the charging, the range. I mean, I think one of the things that the Top Gear episode said, the average range for EVs was 100 miles, which seems a bit wrong now. I mean, maybe 2 years ago.
And I think that's one of the problems that people have. I mean, especially if you go and look at, some of the, shall we say, more right-wing newspapers.
Yeah.
They have an impression of what EVs are, but it's an impression from 8 or 10 years ago.
Yes.
And it hasn't moved since then.
Well, I mean, this car was, on a bad day, I'm getting 200 miles.
Fantastic.
Range, and I drive it like it's a Jaguar. I mean, I don't drive it like. I mean, I drive it the same way as I used to drive a petrol car. I don't have to make any concessions. I don't do anything clever.
Just incidentally, your viewers probably know, but I don't. What was the vehicle you had before this?
So I used to have a Toyota CHR, so one of those lovely self-charging hybrids.
Oh, nice.
So, which I hate that term, but it took petrol. I mean, it did take a lot less petrol than the car I had previously. So it was slightly electrified. I would much prefer to have a plug-in. It was a nice car. I mean, if they'd actually produced an EV, a full BEV version of it, that's probably what I'd be driving now. But because of the tax breaks, and I've explained this on one of the early shows, because of the tax breaks on this car, I could get this car for basically the same expense over 3 years as I was paying for that, which is crazy, but that's the way it was.
Well, I was talking to a couple of people at an EV meet a few weeks ago, and they basically used to have a Nissan Qashqai as a company car, and they were doing, I don't know, it might have been 1,500, 2,000 miles a month.
Yeah.
And they basically sold the Qashqai, they bought an e-Golf. The amount of money they were saving in fuel is paying for the e-Golf. And they were claiming back 2,500 miles from their company at 40p. They were making money on their e-Golf.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a crazy situation to be in.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially at the moment, because there's so many free vend charges. I mean, the one here is not free vend at the moment.
Yes.
I mean, I've literally travelled 3,000 miles in the last couple of months for nothing. It's an absolutely strange, crazy situation to be in.
Completely.
So you drive a Soul, don't you?
I drive a Soul, yes. I wanted an Ioniq.
Yeah.
Because I think they're fantastic looking cars, and of course super efficient, etc. And I didn't want to buy one, I wanted to lease one, so I spoke to the lease company and they said, well, it's going to be this much and it's going to take 6 or 8 months to get one because there are not that many in the country. So I said, well, what else have you got? They said, well, we've got the Soul. Now, I'd looked at the Soul originally and I'd approached Kia directly, and basically they didn't want to know.
Yeah.
I'd been kicked around from one company to another. They wanted me to take a 2-hour drive to the nearest Kia dealership that sold electric cars and have an interview to decide whether I could then qualify
to buy one.
And I thought, well, no, I'm not going to do that. So I didn't think about, the Kia after that. But then once I got to the lease company, and they said, oh yeah, you can have the Soul. It works out about £9 a day to lease one over 3 years. Well, I did the maths recently. For a brand new car, I used to have a 13-year-old Honda Civic. Fabulous car, but I was spending $2,500 a year in fuel, another $1,000 in servicing, all that sort of stuff. So when I did the maths, it actually cost me about £1.50 a day to lease the Soul, and I'm getting a brand new car for that.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
It is.
It's crazy, and I think that's people don't. Just one of the things that myths that electric cars are expensive. Yes, the list prices are inflated up, and that's partly because of the battery costs. But when you take those other savings into account, it's crazy. I mean, okay, I think we are in I've said this to quite a few people. I think we're in early adopter paradise at the moment in some ways, because although we moan a bit about the infrastructure and it does need to improve, I'm sure that there's a worldwide adoption of EVs by everybody. There's plenty of infrastructure to go around at the moment. You can usually find a charger, and at the moment the chargers are usually relatively cheap. There's some expensive ones out there, but generally they're pretty cheap. And so I think we're a small community. It's nice. We all chat.
I'm kind of in that stage now where I don't really want more people to get EVs at the moment, because that's going to affect the infrastructure, you know. And so, you know, as you say, you can usually find a charger. It's usually not busy, although when I met you this morning,
it was
you and you know, my other colleague there. So there were 3 of us at one charger, which was fun. But once you get to the stage where you get a lot more adoption, problems like that are going to increase.
Yeah.
And the infrastructure's got to go with it, obviously. But you know, you look at Tesla and what they've done with the supercharger network. They've got that in place.
Yeah.
Although even then, you look at some of the sites. What's the big site they've got? Nevenes in Norway.
Yeah.
48
Yeah,
charges.
48 charges.
And they can have 80-90% of them full at any one point.
Yeah. Yeah, I know some people live out there, and they've turned up and not been able to get chargers. So you'd think that wouldn't be feasible.
Indeed, but the plus side is, because of the speeds that they're putting on now, they won't have to wait that long.
No, true. They get faster. I mean, that's one thing at the moment with this car is, when I was charging this morning, that charges on reduced power. It's going to take me several hours to fill this car up. But I was at an Ionity charger the other day, and that was fine.
Yeah.
It's a quick trip out on the motorway and give it a punch. So there's nothing behind me, so I think what we'll do is just sit here. And that's not the fastest it accelerates. The great thing about this car, it goes around corners very quickly.
It does. It's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah,
straight into traffic.
But that was nice to just be able to do that.
Yes.
But then we can use the other really nice feature of this car, which is it's actually got pretty good adaptive cruise control. I won't call it autopilot because it's not the same, but it does do self-steering and it does do self-driving.
So it's got the lane keeping, it's got the distance measuring. Oh,
yeah.
Excellent.
So it's now steering itself, and it just needs a light pressure on the steering wheel to do that. And for this sort of stuff, it's when you're in this traffic queues, it just makes it so relaxing.
Yeah.
Another nice thing is, how does it compare to noise on your side? Because I'm told by quite a few people who jump on this, it's very quiet.
I've got to hold my hand up and say I always play podcasts in the so I've always got some noise in the background. So I wouldn't say it was any louder than mine at all, from what I can gather. But I mean, that is the selling point on these, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've got it in what they call calm mode, and one of the things I've got on the calm mode is the fact it's got basically active noise cancellation for the outside, so it cuts down the noise of cars outside and lorries.
Nice.
You certainly notice it when your big diesels going past them. They're a lot quieter.
Yeah.
It's bad timing for traffic, really, wasn't it? But at least you got to experience the acceleration.
Yeah,
and that was on normal mode in the car, so I didn't have it in what they call dynamic mode. When you go into dynamic mode, they start adding a bit more of their. So they have got a fake sound, which I don't tend to turn on because I don't like it. But they actually engineered it to put a little bit of the stator noise, the motor noise coming into the car, so you get some feedback when you accelerate. And when you put in dynamic, they actually don't cancel that as much, so you actually get a bit more of that noise coming through, which is quite interesting. Some people like that active feedback. It's a very comfortable car to drive in, and you've got a lot of features. I mean, for example, at the moment you're probably getting quite warm, so we can push this down and give you some cooling on your bottom and the back.
Ooh, very nice.
So this is quite cool. Quite cool. It is cool. And I find that actually doing that targets the air, and so I don't have the air conditioning on quite so high.
With my Soul we have the heated seats, which in winter, fantastic. Because for the same reason, you can put the heated seats on, put the heated steering on, and you don't need as much ambient heat, so therefore you get better range from the battery, which is always good.
I'd come off on the lovely fleet services, but we won't go there because we know the extrusion charger won't work with the iPads. How do you find charging with the Soul?
Fantastic. It's CHAdeMO, so I don't generally have problems with the electricity, although I have done. I use Polar more than anything. And the one thing that's different about or I find quite good about the Soul is it charges up to 80 kilowatts on CHAdeMO. So, I've used the Alpha chargers. My parents are from Yorkshire, so that's
the Alphas are great.
Yeah, and I've had some good fast chargers on there. But also on a Polar, it will crank right up to 47, 48 kilowatts on that. So it's. I don't think I've ever spent more than half an hour.
Oh, they've added a few more
They have,
superchargers.
haven't they? Yeah. Oh, including one that's a bit of an angle there.
Yes, it's not been clunked.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever spent more than half an hour at a charger, and generally I do 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and it tends to do exactly what I want.
Touring around here, there's someone said that someone had hit one of the chargers the other week. I don't know. Is that still the case?
What, one of the big Christie ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see the Tesla ones over at a funny angle there, isn't
Yeah,
it? So that's...
maybe that was actually. So let's have a look over there. No, they look like they're all standing up okay.
Which is good, because they've only just recently been reinstated.
Yeah,
So they've
yeah,
reopened the...
Yeah, the ones here actually will work with the iPace. I think they must have to be slightly more modern chargers.
Yeah.
Because very few of the eco-tricities actually work at all. Because one of the things about this car is one of the first cars which had a 200 amp battery pack.
Mm-hmm.
I think yours is 100 amp.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of the chargers were built with limited tolerances, especially the ones that the eco-tricity use, the old ones eco-tricity use, and those tolerances drift, and they don't like 100 amp charges. They often say the car's drawing too much power, which is one of those things.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a tour of fleet services, which is
That's fine.
highly interesting, I'm sure. But
Well, if you... You've got two options, because I have contacts in the trade.
Yeah.
I know the code for the barrier.
oh, so let's show me how to do that.
Okay, keep
So
going.
it keeps going straight.
Yeah. Now bear in mind they change the code regularly, so even if you remember it, it may not work all the time.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Straight on.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Alright, and turn this next left.
Next left. Okay. This one.
Yes.
Down here. Down there.
Yep, yep.
Except authorised vehicles.
That's it.
We're being authorised today, aren't we?
Presumably if we've got the code, we're authorised.
So this is where I could raise the suspension to soften these bumps up. Which is quite nice.
There's only a couple more around the corner.
Yeah.
isn't there?
So this actually car will actually wade in, I think it's 2 metres of water, which is
Oh, that's not bad.
pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, let's hope we have got the code today.
Yes.
This could be an interesting reverse.
It could, couldn't it? Yeah.
Now I won't put the code on the camera
Please don't. Yeah.
because people will.
And we're back.
Yeah, and we're back. We've got through the barrier. Excellent. It's very useful. You can hop if you know people in the trade. You can hop from one side of the services to another.
He does, because those that don't know, I have links into the local taxi trade here, and we get pickups at the fleet services because it's the days in
Yeah.
there. So rather than send our drivers up to junction 4A or down to 5 and up there, they
Yeah,
just
just
cut in
cut
here.
across and cut around.
It makes it quicker, and it cuts down the fare for the passengers
Yeah,
as well.
and I know some people from electricity have been sent through the barrier before now when the chargers one side weren't working, the chargers weren't working. So that does work quite well when you can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, squirrel was in the way as well.
Squirrel!
It's a good test for the off-roading, this car.
It is, isn't it?
Not the narrowest of cars, this one. It's only testing sometimes to work out what you can squeeze through.
Yeah.
But
But on the plus side, it's not as wide as the Model S.
Or the X. The
Or
X,
the
the X was definitely challenging when I drove one of those. Which way do I go here?
Right, you're going down to the main laneway there.
What's that? Little housing estate. No, that was
48 houses in there.
there. Wow.
Right, so this is the main Fleet Road.
Yeah. So we'll go back to Fleet then.
There you go.
Excellent. Well, I can see why you have that as a taxi hop.
I'll tell you, when I'm coming back from London, if I'm working up there and I drop down there, it can save 6 miles on my range from getting home, rather than having to go all the way down, come back up on the next junction.
So you probably can't see it from your seat, but I've got a head-up display in front of me as well, which is rather nice.
Right, is that projected?
Projected, yeah, and it's way in front of me. It's always really clear. I said the other day when I was driving, it's really clear even when you've got really heavy rain.
Nice.
So it's excellent stuff. I'm actually using autopilot, the auto steer now. It works quite well on small roads.
And presumably it's got the speed sign recognition. So I mean,
Yes,
it says 30, so it will.
Yeah, it's picking it up.
automatically.
So I get that in the heads-up display as well.
Yeah.
And I also get sat-nav showing in the heads-up display as well.
Excellent.
And the steering assist. So it will tell me where I need to go.
Nice. Very nice. So what was your decision process on this versus, for example, the Model S?
So Model S and Model X were written off, not written off, but written off the list almost straight away because of size. I couldn't get them in the garage. I can only just get this in the garage.
Right.
This just fits my garage, and people have seen on my videos it's a very tight squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this will fit in my garage. But the and I don't get me wrong, I've driven both the S and the X. I took a Model S from Peterborough to Berlin last year as part of a challenge, and lovely car to drive. Really enjoyed doing it. I found it a very good straight line car.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite so good perhaps around corners. So I wanted something a bit more agile in that respect.
Yeah.
So that was one of it. But the key reason for this car, turn that off. We don't want copyright strikes.
No.
The key reasoning was that I could get it.
Yeah.
Availability was absolutely, because I've said I probably would have happier with a Kona or maybe e-Niro. E-Niro wasn't out at the time. Kona was just being launched, but the availability was appalling.
Is it still 12 months for one of those? I think?
I was told, over a year last time I spoke to somebody. E-Niro was about a year from what I was being told. Kona basically won't even take an order now.
Wow.
You can put you on a waiting list. So yeah, it's interesting.
Very interesting. So now I always ask drivers of an EV, what don't you like about the car?
Probably the sluggish infotainment system. It's getting better. The updates are definitely getting better. People who watch the video know I had a little clunk in the car the other day, which I tend to blame on the reversing camera because it was a bit sluggish. But I obviously should have taken care of it anyway. But yeah, I think that's about the only thing I don't like. Everything else about it I really do like. It drives well. A bit more range would be nice. Faster charging would definitely be good, but that's not really the car. That's more about getting the infrastructure right. I've driven it loads. I took it to Bruges and back.
What you're for just under 4,600 miles.
Yeah.
We might click over on that.
Yeah, we might click over.
How long you had it?
Since February.
Okay.
So it's done quite a few thousand miles. About 1,000 miles a month is what I average. So,
Yeah, snap. That's what my lease says anyway. So.
I'll probably end up doing more. So I want to go left here.
Yeah.
Don't know Fleet that well. More traffic lights. So at the moment I'm running it on low regen, so I'll put it on high for a minute. Just try it.
So what's our efficiency at the moment?
Efficiency is nothing at the moment. It doesn't show me when I'm stationary. Let's have a look. We are running at 41.3 kilowatt hours per 100 miles, which is quite high. This is not an overly efficient vehicle. Certainly not prohibitive.
2.5 miles per kilowatt hour, is it?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know in the press that was always the ding that they gave against the iPace, was that it wasn't that efficient. But at the end of the day, if you're happy with it, it doesn't really make any difference to it.
I think that's the thing. I can drive for 2 hours on the UK, stop for 20 minutes and drive for another hour. It's not really a problem. And once we get the faster charges in, I'll be able to stop that 20 minutes and get another 200 miles. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so and it is a real world 200 miles, and it's not a problem. No sort of compromise in that, which is rather good.
Indeed.
So how much mileage do you have? What range do you get in your little Soul?
Well, obviously it's temperature dependent, but I got mine in December and I was easily doing 103, 104. Yeah. Now it's up to 100. When I got in this morning, it was 136.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Because what size is the pack in that?
It's a 33 with a 30 usable.
Yeah. So you're definitely getting slightly better efficiency like it.
Yep. Yeah. At the moment, I'm about 4.9 miles
Yeah.
per kilowatt hour. I say my parents live up in Yorkshire. It's 206 miles, and the first time I did it was 2 weeks after I got it, so it was December, and it was a non-event.
Yeah.
I went up. I stopped once at. This was before the Milton Keynes hub opened, so stopped before there. Then I stopped at Nottingham, and I pretty much got home from there. So just 2 quick charges, 20 minutes and I think half an hour, and that was it.
There's that classic video that Tesla Bjorn did of the Soul versus the iPace.
Yes.
Because we're tied up. Because basically at the moment you can charge very quickly compared to how quickly it takes me to charge, and then
Absolutely. I kind of like that video.
yeah, it was interesting because one of the conversations I had at Fully Charged was with a guy from University of Warwick, and he was very much of the opinion we should be using small battery packs and fast charging, and having lots of chargers, lots of infrastructure, and then you could do any journey you wanted with very short breaks.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes some sense.
It does, and if you've got an EV, that's absolutely something that you consider. But if you don't have one, the predominant attitude is, well, I'm not going to get one unless it can do 1,000 miles and recharge in, 2 minutes.
Yeah, which is it's kind of crazy, isn't it? 'Cause
it is. It's the wrong model.
I mean, I have met people who do. Certain salesmen do 600 miles in a day and don't stop, which always slightly worries me about their ability to pay attention.
Indeed.
Right, this is where we try to avoid hitting the pole. So, a couple of things I haven't shown you yet. We've got loads of cameras. So we've got a front view camera, we've got 360. So this isn't standard, this is on this model.
Yeah.
HSE, you get all the surround cameras. I'm just going to shush the parking sensor a little bit, so it's not beeping. So we can see we've got 360 camera, which I find really useful for lining up on spaces.
Yep.
And then we've got a whole load of other cameras we can choose from. So we've got the front view, we've got the sort of side view, which is very useful for junctions. Coming out of the junction, you can see. I come out from my home. I've got 2 walls either side. Can't see pedestrians, but this I can see pedestrians on.
So you can stick the nose out without having to crane forward.
Which is really useful. And you've got side cameras as well, so you can see how you're lining up with the curb, so you don't curb the car, which I did a lot of times with the Teslas.
Yeah.
And you've also got the rear camera as well, so you can see at the back. And if you want to, you can go into a straight 360 view and see a bit more of the overhead. So, and you've got the ability to zoom in on to see how close you are. Unfortunately, you do have this bit at the front and back which you lose the space of, but other than that, it's still quite a nice view. And how was that for your first proper ride?
That was excellent. Thank you very much. That was superb. Enjoyed that. And I do like the one thing I don't like about my car is it's got the actual gear lever. I much prefer the buttons.
The buttons are nice. I do wonder about accidentally pressing them.
I believe it's all software controlled and it won't cause a problem.
It won't cause a problem.
Yeah.
Obviously, quick flick through the controls. You've got the raise and lower, so we can go going down in the world, which is always cool. I think that's one of my favourite things. Going up. First floor, EVs charging.
There we go.
Go up. And then obviously we've got all the modes as well. So we were just running in comfort mode there, but I could have gone into eco mode, or I can go up into the lovely dynamic mode.
Yes.
And it changes the dash when I do that, so I get a red dash for dynamic, a green dash for eco. To be honest, at the moment there is a software update coming out which will probably make this better, but eco doesn't really give me much. I can get as good efficiency just driving it.
Is it like most eco modes? It's just remapping the power curve.
Yeah,
or
it gives it changes, it limits your acceleration a little bit, but it's hardly noticeable, to be honest. And I've not actually noticed much difference on the range when I do that.
Okay.
Dynamic, yes, I do notice. Dynamic definitely changes it. I mean, we didn't ever have the road to do dynamic. A good back road and lots of twisty bits. So you've got all that. Obviously you've got your screens. We've got the 3-screen approach, because obviously you've got effectively three digital screens in here. And you can do things like on here we've got the ability to see the audio and navigation of it and stuff. And obviously on here you've got everything you could want. At times it is a bit sluggish. I mean, the navigation particularly can be very sluggish to come up. I was doing a video just before you got in showing some of this, which I'll show people, but it's kind of cool. Yeah, that's it. And obviously the whole dash can be reconfigured as well. I've got the ability to change the layout of that, which is nice. I think that's a bit not working at the moment, which is that's because I've got my steering wheel upside down. That would explain why I wasn't actually responding to what I was trying to do. Yeah, so there we go. So we've got the ability, if I come across on this, I can show you that. Too many settings. Just hit the wrong button. So I've changed the head-up display layout as well, but I've got the ability on here to go between 3 different settings. So at the moment I'm on 1 dial. I can have 2 dials, which gives you a kind of traditional speedo
and tacho thing.
thing. Yeah. That's a bit old-fashioned. What I do use sometimes is full map, which basically gives you the whole screen as a map.
And everything else goes up on the head-up display.
Everything goes on the head-up display. I mean, yes, you still have got your speed on there, a little tiny bit. It reminds me a bit the Teslas were through with the little tiny dash, but obviously it's right in front of you, which is quite nice. And that's useful when you're in somewhere you don't know, you want to find your way around. It's quite good to you see a bit more of the map without having to look down over there. You don't have to take your eyes off the road quite so much. I don't know why you'd ever want to put your media as your main display layout, but as a driver assistance is quite interesting because it gives you a quite strange view. Pull it up, which is basically just the lane keep assist and the speedo. And I saw someone bumped into someone the other day who was actually running it like this, which is just struck me as quite
each to their own.
Very simplistic approach, I guess, to what you want. But I tend to stick to it on the dual, the central single layout.
Yeah. And
then I can actually change what I have left and right of that, very much like you can on Tesla. So I could put anything I wanted to on. Well, actually, there's limited things, but I have the driver assist on one side and the map or the trip info on the right side. So yeah, it's
so, Jerry, in terms of regen, how many levels of regen do you have?
Just 2, which is selectable on the main screen. So if I come back on here, to come across to my AV. So I've just got high and low basically. I have heard rumours there might be some additional that, and obviously we've got creep and creep off as well, which I've got off at the moment. The main reason I've got it off at the moment is this is one of the things I don't like about the car is since the last software update it doesn't save the setting for creep, which is a pain. It's a bug and they're going to put a fix out later on. The other thing you've got on here is you've got the ability to have sort of get your home mode. Look at sort of range mode effectively, I guess. I forget what they actually call it in the car, but you can turn that on and it turns the screens off, it turns everything off, and just basically driving gets you as far as you can. But you've got screens for everything. You can see where you are. You've got the shows you where the power's going. All those nice funky things, which are nice to look at sometimes. Don't tend to use them very often. The other one you've got, if I come across again, is eco data. So you can see how we did on that trip, which wasn't particularly brilliant, but that's what I did put my foot down a couple of times.
Fair enough.
So you see where you got the range, and we actually had average 38.7 on that trip, which actually wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that's was it 38, 72? Oh, it's just under 3, isn't it?
Let me check, because I've got another app on here which I can use. So I'll just use my Jaguar remote app, and hopefully it's updated now, because that's obviously another nice thing. We've got this app, and if I go across here, we can see the trips from today. So actually, it hasn't got today's one yet. It hasn't updated yet, but that was 2.29 earlier when I was driving on. So little short trips, I tend to be. That was bad, wasn't it? 1.667. But yesterday it should have actually had that one should have been 2.89 for the trip down. Yeah. Yesterday, so.
Remind me again, what's the battery pack in this?
It's a 90 kilowatt hour pack.
Yeah.
With about 82 available to you.
That's right.
So so that wasn't bad.
Okay. So, yeah. And if I was translating that, because you basically divide the 1 into 100 there, don't you? So that becomes.
Do the maths, as they say.
Yeah. 100 divided by 38.9. 2.57 per
so it's
kilowatt hour.
Yeah, not bad, because I did put my foot down.
You did? Yeah. You most certainly did.
Yeah, so.
Although I suspect the slow traffic on the motorway helped as well.
Yes, yeah, that definitely helped. Well, actually, it's a big car. It's a heavy car, 2-ton car to move. So even moving slowly, you've got. So actually, that's one of the reasons I had it on low regen, because in motorway traffic, I found actually letting it run on a bit using the weight is a really good way of getting sufficient.
Can you take regen off completely?
No, but low regen is like taking it off completely when you're actually at motorway speeds.
Yeah.
It tends to not slow you down.
There is definitely a school of thought which says that when you're at speed,
Yeah.
regen is you don't need it
coaster.
because you end up needing more energy to push it forward after it's been slowed down by the regen. I know the e-Golf you can completely take the regen off.
Yeah, which is a nice feature.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to the Jaguar guys quite a lot, and I know they're looking at all sorts of things they could do because it is over-the-air software update. I have had one.
Yeah.
We haven't had many recently. There's a lot of complaints on the forums about how long it's taken to get the next over-the-air update out. It's been promised a few months, but that's often the way these things are. They don't have OTA for everything. You can't update some of the battery management or some of the other control systems, but you can do the telematics and the navigation system.
Okay.
And they have pushed some updates out. I mean, there's been new features in there. I mean, one of the things they did in the last update was change the way the charges were showing up on the map, so you could actually filter them better, which is a nice feature. So they have done things, and I think there are some actual feature changes coming in the future. It's got two SIMs. It's got basically a telematics SIM, which is going back to Jaguar, and it's got a SIM under here, which is the one for actually communicating. So it does your maps, your sat live nav, all that stuff.
You get live traffic.
Live traffic,
Nice.
And traffic appears on the map as well. I was showing this earlier, but it's actually quite nice the way the traffic appears. So I don't know if we can find some traffic. Let's go into the map. So we've got lots of different map views.
We know there's plenty of traffic on the motorway.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just zoom out on the map, and we'll see what we can find. But, maybe it's not updating the traffic on the. But yeah, there's some traffic there. So we've got nice red.
Oh yeah, red and yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people say this is really unresponsive. It's not that bad. I mean, compared to the modern Model 3 screen, but compared to the old Tesla Model S, the original Tesla Model S, it's okay. Yeah. We can have sat view on as well if you want, which I don't tend to turn on because it eats the data.
Sure.
But you got and you get traffic overlaid on that as well, which is
very nice.
And one thing it does do is it does do waypoints, which is.
Oh, no, that is good.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I know it's one of the big complaints that the Tesla joint owners have had for years that they can't actually add waypoints. I mean, I'd like some of the Tesla features, and certainly on the mapping with the range, knowing what I'm going to arrive at places with.
What percentage?
Yeah,
etc.
that would be nice to see, but we haven't got that at the moment. But it's not a bad system. One of the things that I would complain a little bit about is very unintegrated. So the navigation on here is actually here maps. Mm-hmm. And there's a here maps supplied. So one of the things it does is if I tap in the middle there, it actually allows me to send a text message saying how long I'm going to be, if I'm going to be on time, if I'm going to be delayed. But I can't take the contacts off the phone to use to get to it because it doesn't integrate the phone, which is one of the things I'd like to see some bit more integration. But I know they're working on a new system completely. Mm-hmm. I doubt there'll be many more updates to this system because it's going to be completely replaced. But it's not bad. I know people have also complained about these switches. Some people say they find these really difficult to use. I find them very easy. It's basically so you push pull and twist. And I don't even look at them when I'm using them. So I've got used to what you need to do to work on them. So yeah, that's basically the iPace.
Yeah. Oh, I've put the heat on this one now.
You don't want that.
Oh, no, I don't want that.
Don't want a warm bum.
I feel like I wet myself, yeah. Now, what was the one question? I know it's probably not needed on this, but do you get Apple CarPlay integration?
You do, and Android CarPlay as well.
Okay.
I've got, if I plug my phone in into the right socket, it then goes into one of the ones in the car. We should be able to get Android Auto up on it.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So I find this sometimes is a bit temperamental. But Android Auto is okay, so we go for Android Auto coming up now. Yeah. It should mean in a second we should change the central button to the Android Auto symbol.
Yes.
And since the most recent update, we've now got widescreen Android Auto,
nice,
which is very nice. Yes. So we've got all the stuff in the navigation, etc.
Podcast, Spotify on there. Yeah.
Spotify on there as well, which actually works very well.
Yeah.
Sound systems are very good.
I've got noticed with some of these.
Where's my playlist? I had. Play. play Tesla Born's copyright free list. So you can hear the sound system.
How many speakers?
I can't remember actually. It's lots. I'll look it up and put it up on the roads. But yeah, it's a Meridian sound system at the top of the range.
Very nice.
And of course, because it's a quiet car, you can really enjoy it.
Completely.
Yeah, so it's good. But, yeah, so it's got a lot going for it.
Yeah.
Expensive car though.
Well, yeah, but they're Jaguars. My father drove them for years.
Yeah.
And this was back in the 70s. He spent 3 days out of every 4 in the service station.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that this didn't have its problems to start with. It was people know, had the centre screens go all blank on me almost as soon as I bought it. Which happens to a lot of them apparently. It's a bug which has been fixed now, but certainly. I say it's been fixed. It doesn't seem to get applied. The fix doesn't seem to get applied very well by the dealers. But I think it's one of the issues relying on dealer network, which I think is something again with EVs we've talked about a lot. That dealer networks are an interesting challenge. But
I have a whole podcast on that.
Yes,
yeah. But again, it's not their business model.
No, absolutely not. And you wonder how they're going to make money in the future.
They're going to have to change. Yeah. It's like as we were talking earlier with the charging model. Having a charger as we are at the moment, just sat there by itself at, I think that's £4 a go when it's charged, or so much per kilowatt on other ones. That's not going to make the money.
No.
The model has to be, you need the coffee shops there, you need the meeting places there, you need the things, the convenience stores. You need to be able to go there and buy milk and things like that.
Well,
that's where they're going to.
You've only got to look at petrol stations.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
They make money on the cans of Coke and
That's right.
the stuff. So.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
No, I really appreciate the time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So what's your name of your podcast again, so people can find it?
It's the EV Musings podcast.
Yeah, it's a very good listen. I definitely recommend it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
That was a really good chat with Gary. I'm on my way back from Fleet now, and just got to Milton Keynes. I'm going to stop at the Ionity charger again, give it a try when I'm at a lower state of charge. I'm at 41% now. Let's see how we get on, possibly with about a 20-minute charge. So it's not quite so bright here today, so maybe you can actually see the screen. I'm just going to start, and basically it says you've got a couple of options in terms of how you use this. Oh, I've got a phone call coming in. Did we get that? Okay, so I've dealt with the call. So you can see how we can use it, and I'm going to use it using the app. So I'll go off and do that now. Okay, so I've actually been a bit longer than I intended with because I took a phone call, but time seems to pass very quickly. So we've been there 29 minutes, coming up to 30 minutes. We've actually had 31.3 kilowatts, so that's, I can tell you that's over 60 kilowatts an hour. Yeah, impressive. So I'm probably going to just let it charge up to 80% and I'll head on my way, and there it is, 80%. In 30 minutes and a bit. That's not bad, is it? From just under 50. Yep, so we've added quite a few miles. Let's let it tick on a little bit longer. There's only 49 minutes remaining to charge to full. Obviously it does slow down now, as we saw the other day. Once you get to 80%, it's definitely slowing down, but that's pretty quick up to that point. Shame I didn't get back a bit earlier. I could have seen what the intermediate figures were like, but it certainly seemed to be charging pretty fast on the app, so it was well over 100 miles an hour charging, so yeah, I'm happy with that. Well, I got slightly delayed by another phone call, so it's now up to 90%. It definitely slowed down the last bit. But behind my car, there's a sight you don't often see. Yes, that is a Ferrari charging at the Polar charger. So I think it's the one which was converted at fully charged live the other week. Yeah, interesting stuff. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here. That's a good sight to leave it on.